Welcome to the third video. This video, I'm going to be telling you about physical quantities, the types of physical quantities, and distance and displacement and the difference between them. So let's start with physical quantities. A physical quantity is basically like a quantity which can be measured and has magnitude and unit. For example, kilometers, meters, distance, displacement, all of those quantities are called physical quantities. Now, physical quantities can be divided into two types, scalar and vector quantities. Scalar quantities are those which have only magnitude and unit. Vector quantities have magnitude, unit, and direction. Even direction is taken into account when we take vector quantities. So some examples of scalar quantities are mass, time, distance, and all of those. Because while we are measuring the mass of a particular object, we don't ask in which direction is it moving in, or when we are taking the time, we don't consider the direction. Whereas in vector quantities, the direction is necessary. For example, force, and then displacement, and velocity. All of these quantities, they require a direction. That's why they are called vector quantities. Now let's come to the next topic, distance and displacement. Okay, so distance can be defined as the actual length of the path covered by a moving body. Okay, so this is a point A and this is a point B. Okay, an object travels like this. Okay, so that is the distance traveled by the moving body. It's just the actual length of the path covered. So it comes like this and then goes over here. That is the distance. But this being the shortest distance between the points A and B, that is called the displacement of the object. It is the shortest distance between two given points. Here the two given points are A and B, and this is the displacement, whereas this is the distance. Even though the object does not travel on this path, it is said to be the displacement because it is the shortest distance between those 2 points. So distance is a scalar quantity, whereas displacement is a vector quantity, because in whichever direction the object travels in, it doesn't matter in distance, whereas in displacement, it's really important. Direction is taken into account in displacement. If the object goes in one direction, again, this is point A, and it travels till point B and comes back to point C. And the distance between A and B is 10 meters, and the distance between B and C is 5 meters. Okay, so we say that the distance traveled by the object is 10 plus 5, which is equal to 15 meters. But the displacement traveled is basically the shortest distance between A and C. So that's going to be 5 meters is going to be the displacement. So by now you would have understood the meaning of distance and displacement. Now let's look at the difference between distance and displacement. Distance is the actual length of the path of the body, as I said, and displacement is the shortest distance between 2 points. Distance is always positive. It cannot be negative at all. So we can take like right side is positive and the left side is negative. So if the same object, it goes to B and it comes back to A and travels in this direction and comes to point D, then the distance will be, okay, take this is also 5 and this is also 5, then the distance will be 10 plus 5. That will be 25. But the displacement will be minus 5 because it is traveling in a leftward direction. So the displacement will be minus 5. And if we are taking north and south, north will be positive and south will be negative. So if this is tilted toward this side and if we take it as north and south, then also the displacement will be minus 5, but the distance cannot be negative. So it will be plus 25. And then, as I told you, distance is a scalar quantity, whereas displacement is a vector quantity. Distance can never be 0, whereas displacement can be 0. Okay, let's take another example of a circle over here. The object starts from this point, travels in a circle and comes back to point A. The distance will be the circumference of that circle, but the displacement will be 0 because it goes and then it comes back to this point. The distance between point A and point A will obviously be 0, so the displacement can be 0, but the distance can never be 0. So that is what distance and displacement means, and those are some differences between distance and displacement. Thanks for watching.